Buenas a todos y bienvenidos de nuevo a 6Gamer Studios. Y hoy estamos aquí con un juego nuevo de Stanley Parable.
Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on the keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy.
Muchos conoceréis este juego ya.
Something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened. This complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
Bueno, muchos conoceréis ya este juego de... Seguro que algunos ya habéis visto el vídeo del Rubius. Me ha parecido muy interesante y divertido, ¿no? Más que nada por el uso de la ironía que hace este juego. Y espero que os parezca igual de divertido. Y bueno, no es lo mismo que el Rubius, pero bueno, oye, es un gameplay. Esperemos que sea también divertidillo, ¿no? A ver qué se cuece por aquí.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Lo subo porque, no sé, me parece divertido y, oye, puede estar interesante. Podemos pasar un buen ratillo, ¿no? No sé por dónde ir, la verdad, no tengo ni idea. Tampoco es que me diga ahora... Anda, mira. Vamos a probar ahí por aquí. Solo para admirarla. Mola, mola.
Ah, yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Apreciando todo. No puedo coger nada, ni con la E, ¿no? A ver
si... Really, really worth it being here in the room. A room so utterly captivating that even though all your co-workers have missed, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
A la izquierda, no. Vamos a probar a ir por aquí a ver qué hay.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't
no puedo volver,
5
¿no?
years ago.
No me deja. No puedo volver. ¿Por qué? ¿Y por aquí puedo entrar? No, no tengo tarjeta. Por allí está abierto. ¿Y si quiero ir por allí, me tiro? No, no, jump from the cargo. ¿Y si me tiro? ¿Aquí a las cajas? No.
But in his eagerness to prove that he is in control of the story and no one gets to tell him what to do, Stanley leapt from the platform and plunged to his death. Stanley, everyone thinks you are very powerful.
Pues nada, vamos a probar ahora otro caminito, a ver. Está interesante. A ver, recomiéndanos, señor. ¿Por aquí podré ir? No. No todas están abiertas. ¿Qué hay aquí? Awaiting input. Input received. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Recibe órdenes? ¿Está en todos los ordenadores? No, no. Este lo apago. Ah, está interesante, está interesante. ¿Puedo cerrarla? Sí. Vamos a probar a ir por la izquierda.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Y a ver si ahora le podemos liar la marrana. No. Está la sala de
Yet
reuniones.
there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there.
¿Dónde está el proyector? Ah, anda ahí arriba. Y si no puedo saltar, ¿no? A ver si puedo. Broom closet. ¿Esto qué es?
Stanley stepped into the broom closet, but there was nothing here, so he turned around and got back on track.
Me hace gracia que siempre el narrador esté ahí
There was
ordenándote.
nothing here. No choice to make, no path to follow, just an empty broom closet. No reason to still be here.
Vamos a aguantar aquí a ver qué dice, ¿eh? A ver si nos dice algo. Vamos a cerrar.
It was baffling that Stanley was still just sitting in the broom closet. He wasn't even doing
Estaría
anything.
justificado de alguna
At least
forma.
if there was something to interact with, he'd be justified in some way.
Obviamente.
As it is, he's literally just standing there
Sin importarle
doing
nada.
FA.
Estoy esperando a la becaria para hacerlo rollo peli estadounidense ahí.
Are you really still in the broom closet? Standing around doing nothing? Why?
Quiero coger
Please
la
offer me some
escoba.
explanation here. I'm genuinely confused.
Anda.
Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs.
No, yo quiero ir
to
para
his
abajo. Quiero ver qué
boss's
se
office.
cuece. Por aquí abajo. Oh. Oh my goodness.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why
La
had he
manera de la que
taken
intenta
risks?
convencerte es
All
un
because he
tanto...
believed everyone had vanished.
Sí,
His
porque-
boss would think he was crazy.
It's
And then
crazy.
something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence.
¿Os imagináis
in
que ahora
single
salgo ahí a la
moments,
calle
no
y
reason at all?
algo
None of
así,
it
no
made
sé?
any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked
Hijo de
down?
puta.
Why did doors close automatically
¿Qué?
behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look
Pasa,
familiar.
empezaron a verse
Were they
bastante.
simply repeating? No, Stanley
Hostia,
said
es
to
verdad,
himself,
se están
"This is
repitiendo.
all too strange. This can't be real." And at last, he came to the conclusion
De que
that
había
it had been on
tenido
the
en la
tip of
punta de
his
la
tongue.
lengua.
He
Tan
just
solo,
hadn't
tan
found
solo
the
había...
words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a
¿Verdad?
relief
Pero
Stanley
no puedo
felt
volver.
to have finally found an answer, an explanation.
No
His
puedo.
coworkers weren't
He
actually
entrado en un
wrong.
bucle
He
en un
wasn't going
puto
to lose
bucle.
his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So,
¿Qué?
he imagined himself flying. and began to
A
gently
flotar, no me
float
gusta eso,
across
no
the
me gusta.
ground.
Hostia puta. No, no, yo
Then
quiero pasar por
he imagined
aquí.
himself soaring through space on
¿Se
a
imaginó?
magical starfield.
Y eso también
And it
aparecía.
appeared. It was so
Hostia, ¿no?
much
Qué ida
fun.
de olla, ¿no?
And Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so
Sí, pero que me pierdo.
And then perhaps the strangest question
no,
of
no,
them
no.
all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why
Ay, qué hijo de
is there a
puta.
voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking?
Y digo yo,
Now the voice was describing
¿ha entrado por aquí el
being
coche?
considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me.
hostia,
thinking about
no creo que
how
me
it's
dé un susto
describing
ni nada de
my
eso,
thoughts.
pero oye, oye.
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice
Como
was
si esta voz
real,
de toda la gente es un sueño. La verdad era que, por supuesto, esto no era un sueño. ¿Cómo podía serlo?
How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep he doesn't
Me cago en la
have to take
puta, pero deja de hablar. Quiero ir a algún otro sitio.
Right now, as he's ever been in his life. Now hearing the voice speak
Ahora
these
oyendo la
words was
voz.
quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain beyond a
Me
doubt
cago en la
that this
leche,
was
tío.
in
Lleva
fact a
diciendo lo
dream.
mismo.
Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that
Él
he
probaría
was
que...
in control. That this was a
Sí.
dream.
Joder, pues quiero volver a donde antes.
and he invited himself.
No, 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 no.
He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back.
El que hizo este juego tiene una mente un tanto retorcida, y no retorcida de mal, sino... Joder.
Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job.
No me gusta.
Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want. I want my apartment and my wife.
Sí, mi trabajo, todo lo que quiero es mi vida exactamente en la forma en la que siempre ha sido.
Exactly the way it's always been.
Es un poco pesadete, ¿eh? Lleva ya un buen rato
I am normal.
sin callarse.
Everything will be fine.
No creo, no me lleves al principio de nuevo, tío.
Okay.
No me gusta. Estoy aquí. ¿Dónde estoy?
Stanley began screaming. Please,
Hostia
someone
puta.
wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss, I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone
¿Qué?
hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I?
¡Dios!
And everything
Ay,
went
joder, qué
fine.
susto. No creo, joder, tío. Luego, ahora me sale una cara o algo. Me
This
da un
is the
chungo,
story of a woman named Mariella.
Una
Mariella
mujer.
woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her
Mariella.
belongings, and walked to her
Este
place
soy
of
yo.
work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted
Este es
by
Stanley.
the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming.
Colapsó muerto, tío.
Then collapsed dead on the
Pero en
street.
serio, ¿quién
And
coño
when
hace
she
estos
was soon
finales?
turned to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments, she considered the strange man.
Me
He was
cago en...
obviously crazy. This much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And
Y
in that
pues
moment,
necesita
she
ayuda.
thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control.
Joder, qué manera tiene el puto narrador de transgiversar todo, tío.
It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better.
Vaya por Dios.
But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day. The very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the
Y tiene una manera de hundirte cuando haces unas decisiones que no le gustan.
only a moment
Yo no
that she
tenía tiempo
stood
para esto.
staring down
Mirando
the
al
body.
cuerpo.
And then she turned and ran.
Y sin llamar a la ambulancia ni nada. Toma ya. Joder, su puta madre, macho. Es que menuda manera tiene de acabar el narrador, ¿eh? Es impresionante. Pero bueno, espero que os haya gustado este gameplay. Oye, no soy el más divertido comentando, pero oye, el narrador ya comenta por mí. Y espero que os guste también. Intentaré llegar ahí a algún final así interesantillo. Iré subiendo varias partidillas. Que me ha gustado, me lo he pasado bien. Y nada, gente, espero que os haya gustado. Recordad un like, cualquier cosa, un comentario, dando una sugerencia de cualquier cosa, un juego para la serie, para ayudarme a mejorar en los comentarios, cualquier cosa. Estaré súper agradecido. Y nos vemos en el siguiente vídeo. Hasta la próxima. Chao.